We on there like Jordan and Jordan. In the studio we sporting. Anything from the land we call our own. Spreading our roots cause the love we grown.
Let's get things started. So, we are here today with Kyle and Kate of Cleveland Vibes. Guys, how you doing?
Really good. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, doing good. The co-founders of Cleveland Vibes, actually, established back in, 2017? Mm-hmm. If my research proves correctly.
Well, I do have to say, she is the genius and mastermind behind the entire thing, so I just kind of...
It's been a group effort, though. I mean, if it was... Yeah, no, it's been a group effort. So.
Do you say that about your marriage as well?
Definitely. My wife is definitely the mastermind behind her marriage, so.
But we're here to talk about Cleveland Vibes today, not marriage, unfortunately. That'll be for a different podcast.
Love it.
Cleveland Vibes is at almost 60,000 followers. It was voted the best Instagram in Cleveland from Cleveland Magazine's Best of 2021, the famous best of polls that they do. And we're just riding that high.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it still feels unreal. Yep.
Yeah, it's been really cool to see the journey for sure. We Katie was actually when we started out, Katie moved from Florida up to Cleveland. And so I was really from here. We got married. She came up here, just how I knew it was true love, because who would move from Florida to Cleveland, right? But
I thought it was going to be a downgrade. I was like, oh, we'll be here. I moved around a lot growing up, so I was like, we'll be here for a bit. And I lived in Chicago, so you kind of get like a little bit of a stigma if you have spent over time over there. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, we'll be there for a little bit. And little did I know I was gonna.
Yeah, and she was just like she was like, I feel like there's this gap here in Cleveland. I've seen other cities have this type of account that shows everything, and I think I'm gonna make one. Probably just for fun, not spam everybody on my own Instagram account.
Sure.
And she did it, and it just started taking off. It was really crazy how that happened, but yeah.
I'm just a big architecture nerd mostly, so I just came in and I was like, whoa, okay, there's some cool stuff over here, and just wanted a place to put the photos.
I want to talk about that actually, because it took me 12 hours to scroll all the way to the bottom of your guys' Instagram for 5 years of content. I'm wearing my Save the West Side Market t-shirt, which is actually, I think, the first interaction I got with Cleveland Vibes.
Oh, cool.
I was like, I texted Jerbs, I was like, I want to save West Side Market. Let's talk about that first post. It had 60 or so likes on it. Something about West Side Market.
It was almost instant when I think I put out 12 posts to begin with, just to I just had tons of content just on my phone over months of being here. Mm-hmm. And I just naturally take photos where I go. I just like it. And so I just put out 12, and it right away. People started following along, and from there on we've just been kind of like, okay, well, what do you guys want? We'll just keep doing whatever it is you like.
There's particularly a list of names of the account that it could have been, which I thought was kind of cool. There was Cleveland Vibes. Mm-hmm. What was the other? What were the couple of those?
Oh man, I don't know. I have it on a note on my phone right now, just and you see the last one's Cleveland Vibes, and I was like, oh, okay, that's it. And that one's available also.
That one.
Which is weird because now that Vibes is a word that people use a lot.
It is.
Vibes wasn't cool back then.
You did it before,
I was mad today. I looked at my gum, and it is Trident Vibes. Not sponsored. Come on, you can't just add it to anything.
So the bio in your Instagram is your source for culture and lifestyle in the land. Love that. When it comes to Cleveland culture, what is the vibe or aesthetic?
Cleveland culture. Well, I think something that is unique to Cleveland is the mentality of all for one and one for all. It seems like it's the Midwest kindness that you see all over, but it's mixed with the hardworking spirit and the grit of people from Cleveland and the underdog mentality of so many years of shared just turmoil, and so I think it's created the vibe of just a really welcoming, open, humble community that I felt welcome in instantly as soon as we started reaching out and making friends there. So
yeah, I think the vibe has been we're a city that came from industry has a lot of this old architecture, a lot of this beauty that a lot of people like choose to oversee in a lot of ways. That I think Katie did a great job at capturing. Like, I think a lot of Clevelanders like miss this because there's so many beautiful parts of the city, and it's like, I think it's like typical Clevelanders to like crap on themselves, right? And it's like
so true.
And I take this idea, and I think that one of the things that Katie realized as like somebody not from the city, she came here, she's like, yo, Cleveland's got a lot to offer.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think she.
I came at the right time too. We had just won the championship.
2016 was
Yeah,
our
yeah.
choice.
I went.
That's what started the way up. I mean, you know what I mean?
I was
So,
like, why
like,
is everyone shitting on this place? Like, that's how I saw my mom cry.
I cried.
Kyle like cried harder on that day maybe than on our wedding day.
Yeah. It's really
I was
good.
like, wow.
Um,
Passion. He doesn't even like watch basketball. But
And
it's
so-
the Cleveland. It was for
It's
Cleveland.
exactly.
Yeah.
When we went to the parade and we saw the support for this city.
The people on the lampposts.
All over the parking garages. So, I mean,
Yeah.
not a porta potty in sight.
But I think the idea, I think one of the reasons maybe it took off, but like it did, is because of that idea that in Clevelanders, as you guys know, like we've been told by the media generations before us that like, oh, cold weather, burning river, the fumble, like the mistake on the lake, like all of these things are like why Cleveland sucks. You should think Cleveland sucks too. And this is kind of the narrative that we've been told, and I think that Katie kind of captured like this beauty to the city that people like didn't like have the eye for before. And then she's kind of like showing Cleveland the way there. So
Kind of like a newfound respect, and I love the fact that like I just learned that you are not a Cleveland native. Like
Yeah.
that's a very interesting perspective to have someone from the outside look in and be like, oh, Cleveland is like the haves, you know?
And I moved
Definitely.
around a lot, and had always wished when I moved places, Instagram was kind of still where people were just starting to like really get into big aesthetics, you know, and not instead of just like pictures of their dogs and stuff. And I mean, which there's still a very huge
You
space for
got your
that.
own account, you got your ass in the account.
That's a whole nother story. But I was like, I just wanted to know where to go. And anytime I moved to Chicago or I moved back to Florida, and I'm like, where do I go in this new city? And that was hard to find on the internet at all. And then in Cleveland, because there were different areas that were kind of turning, like different parts of neighborhoods that were, like you'd come and find an amazing street. But if you're just driving around aimlessly, you might miss it. Or the textbook places to take people would be like Public Square, and which has so much for architecture, but is missing, it feels empty a lot of the times. And that's not kind of what you
Well,
want to
it's like
highlight to
New York City,
tourists, you know?
you like walk across a line and you're like in a different neighborhood, right?
Right.
Here it's like, okay, Tremont, Ohio City, Lakewood's almost like its own neighborhood, but it's a different city. And then there's like East Side, but there's also East Cleveland, which is very different. And then there's the Arts District. It's like,
You need a
it's so
guide.
far.
You just
It
But they
feels-
blend. They blend into
They
each other. I
blend,
see
they do
exactly what you're
blend, but
saying.
it's like,
You need a
Yeah.
guide at this point. In this point of the transition from a city that's coming out of economic depression, like you need somebody to say, okay, for now, like this is a spot, more so 5 years ago, this is the spot to go, this is the spot to go, this is the spot to go. Now you can kind of drive around and see, you know, things that are beautiful ups and things, you know, everywhere. But
yeah.
at the time especially, it was like, you need kind of a little guide. So now there's just so much more to cover because it's growing even more. New places popping up all the time.
So looking at you two, first of all, how long have you two been together? How long has this adventure been happening?
So
about a year longer than the account's been around is when we got married.
we met when we were 8 years old, actually, at summer camp.
Yeah, similar
And
to
then
guys. Similar stories.
we stayed in touch as pen pals.
Yeah.
Her dad was in the military, so she lived in Austin, Tampa, Orlando, Charleston, Delaware, and
Wow.
And so,
Not all from us.
yeah, we were emailing, and then we like added each other on Facebook, and then
Lost
at like
contact.
20, we lost contact for a while. 24, I hit her up on Facebook again, and then we started dating long distance, and the rest is
He
history.
gave me a like 2 a.m. phone call on like Halloween night, and I got up the next morning and I called him just to be like, "You sounded good."
Well, I was definitely drunk. So I wanted to just put that out there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
It's Halloween. I mean, what are you gonna do?
So I was like, but then we like talked for 4 hours and it was like a done deal after that.
Aw.
And 4 months later, he's moving up to Cleve.
Yeah, it was, we just knew.
Yeah, we knew immediately.
So then pivoting back over into the Cleveland Vibes realm, where do your like interests, hobbies, and professional backgrounds, how did they come into play when it came to developing Cleveland Vibes?
I love that question. You should answer this.
I was going to say Kyle's a much more professional person than I am. I didn't even know how to like him. You're just, and I didn't go to college. I like
Neither.
I
We're in this together.
Yeah, me and Kyle are on the same wavelength too.
Yes.
I was like,
Yes.
You need somebody to manage the crap show here, but yeah, I was like had no idea what I was doing. So Cleveland Vibes kind of was a like realization of my like talents almost. I didn't know that I was a creative necessarily. I knew I was scattered, but I didn't know why. But then Kyle's kind of complimented me really well. He's a sales manager here. He's extremely organized and proficient and hardworking, and can provide me the structure that I need to actually make this more than just an idea. Basically.
Well, I think in the beginning, now we have a team, by the way. We have our friend, a partner of ours, Julianne, and he's with Mike, that help us with a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And a group of like other team members, content creators in the city who are helping out too. So it is much more of a team effort now.
I think in the beginning, earlier on, it was, Katie, my wife, God bless her soul, she is the most creative human I've ever met. Like literally, an outpouring of ideas come from her. And it is like she's a dreamer and I'm like the integrator, right? So like it's just like I'm like making it all happen, and
It's
I'm like,
cool, Katie.
I'm a guy.
What are you gonna do about it?
Well, like
I am just
sometimes we fight because she has these ideas that are so big, and then I like challenge her on them, and then we like almost like fight about them, but then we eventually end up like doing almost all of those things, And so it's just like
you would never go. You would stay nice and safe in your bubble, maybe without me being like, but I think we can. Like, but mostly I think we can because I know he's like doing it with me. Like I wouldn't think that we could without him complimenting me. So
Sounds like a very good balance.
It's
it is, yeah. It is.
I would have probably.
And she still drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Because she can't like for somebody who like does a lot on their phone, like for Cleveland Vibes, like never answers your phone. And I'm like, I know you're holding it.
Oh my God.
You just posted.
Like too many tabs
So it's
open
like-
here
yeah,
and
it's-
on the phone and everywhere else. Yeah.
But it's probably because she's so in the moment. So I love it.
Also just two small children.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just sprinkle that on top. It's only like that's a full-time job in itself. It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. They can take care of themselves. How old are they?
Rosie just turned 3 and Kit will be 6 in November.
Yeah, so they're good. They're good.
Yeah, totally separate.
Have
They
the
can almost
older
feed
one,
themselves,
the little
yeah.
one.
Yes.
Yes.
Rosie can talk now a little bit, so that
Oh.
yeah.
Oh my gosh! Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Thanks.
fresh.
We do raise people that talk.
Yes.
Have ourselves
Good.
exactly that, yeah.
We did.
That will come in handy.
You will get a gold star.
So, at what point did you reflect in on the brand itself and be like, oh, this is going to be taking off? Like, where are we going to go from here?
I like this one because I think that Katie realized it long before I did. Like, there was like a point at which we had so many emails and people trying to work with us that like we just couldn't keep up with. And it was just like, and I thought like just the nature of a reality at the time. Like we were just not going to be able to like go to all the places, do all of the things. And the dream of the Kitty is she's like, we need to make this a business and we need to bring people on. We need to get help. She's like, we could be massive. And I'm like, that's a great idea, Kitty, but like, how do we implement that? We have no time with children. We have, like I can't help yet, and so it's like,
Employees, like
and so I think Katie realized it long before I did, but I think it was, was there a day you think that like you realized it? Like,
No, I mean, like I said, people started being interested right away, and I knew that Cleveland had a really special like community that it worked here, and who knows if it would have worked anywhere else as well. I don't know that. So I caught on to that pretty quickly, that just people wanted this. But I think I knew pretty early on that I wanted it to be bigger than just me posting photos, because I always felt uncomfortable posting myself. And it's because I knew I wanted it to be a place where more voices were shared and not just mine. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable being like an influencer here. Like I want this to be a company someday. Even if right now I'm mostly just doing this while I'm, you know, hanging out with my babies and like here and there, you know, we're just at a coffee shop and I post a photo. It wasn't that much work then. You know, now it's a whole different thing. But yeah, I knew all along. I hoped for that, and that there was a ticking time bomb with social media and everything. You have to monitor, you know, the pulse, and who knows how long Instagram will be, you know, a huge force in the social media space, and just knowing we have to kind of capitalize on, you know, the platform that we have right now.
Yeah. Wow. Like real deep thoughts here. So I gotta know, in your opinion, I mean, you guys have done literally everything that's Cleveland involved for the last 5 years. Like literally everything has been covered by Cleveland Vibes at some point or at some capacity. In your opinion, what is the coolest event that you guys were able to take place in and be a part
The
of?
coolest event.
Coolest event.
Not hosted. It's something that we attended.
Yep, attended, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes.
I'm trying to think. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go back and look through. It's like a diary. You know?
This one it wasn't sponsored or anything. The Yo-Yo Kasama Infinity Mirrors at the Cleveland Museum of Art was
That was
kind of
so
life-changing
cool,
for
yeah.
me, just as a like an exhibit. It was the one where Paul
Yeah,
you like
I did that a
looked
couple
out
years
at
ago.
like and it
Yes.
was infinite like patterns and the colors, and it was just a really cool reflective kind of experience. Although you didn't have much time in each exhibit, so that's the way. But we had the team go over to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and
That was really cool.
they got on the HBO special, which is really funny because like nobody else is
With
on
Julian
it.
and his girlfriend Julian.
Nobody else is on it, like outside of like
Yeah.
celebrities and the fans. And Jordan, just like she's our partner Julian's.
That's
girlfriend.
Jordan.
Yeah,
That's-
she was like
that's-
dancing her face off at one point, and she got like a cameo right at the end. And we were like the whole time we were like maybe they'll get on. They were pretty close to the front, but we were like giving up. And then in the last like 2 minutes, she made it, and like 15 seconds of her like going hard. And I was like, this is the best.
That's
So
so
we didn't
cool.
go to that one, but I was like, this is so cool.
Take note, people. Go hard, act the fool. You will be on HBO.
Yeah, that's the best part. That's the
That's
best.
how that's gonna
That's the
go.
only chance you got, really.
This is an event, but I think it's quintessential Cleveland is just anytime you're in the mini lot. I think that is like always just like a where you see Cleveland come to life.
Yeah.
And so
Bright Winter is also such a like cool.
Bright Winter
is
like,
just-
it's amazing. Just the under the bridge and the fires.
I
and the,
froze,
yeah,
but I had the
yeah.
best time.
Yes.
Yeah,
last year.
exactly.
This year.
Yeah.
We
Was it
had-
last year or this year?
Yeah, we had what? Schnapps and hot chocolate.
Yeah.
That did a pretty good number on it.
It's so cold. I'm just like, this
Yeah,
winter.
definitely.
It's winter. That's all I know.
Yeah.
It's cold. Yeah, for sure. So, you know, this is all fun and you guys have just done amazing things for Cleveland, but obviously with the awesome positive posts that you guys do bring to Cleveland, there's always going to be the haters or the trolls if you're a millennial. And how do you guys like respond to those haters? Anyone who's like, this is not the Cleveland vibe. Like,
Yeah.
like, are people like that?
A little bit.
yeah,
Do you-
totally, yeah.
TikTok, it was a whole. Actually, that was kind of what inspired Cleve Relieve, because Instagram was a mostly supportive community.
Mhm.
But you go over to TikTok and you just got
Oh
exposed
my gosh,
to a
it's
whole
people
new
from
audience.
everywhere.
And it's people from
Yeah.
everywhere, and it was just a brand, people that had never come in contact with our brand before. And so people from Cleveland would like just go on there and just be like, no, that's not what it's like. I'm like, I didn't do anything. Like, I didn't edit this to like change anything. Like,
Right.
This is really what it's
This
like.
is a photo.
I think
But
yeah, I mean a lot of people say it's like it's like toxic positivity or whatever. Some people
Yeah,
say
choose
that it's
the
like, oh, I don't see anybody that like looks like me on this Instagram or whatever. But I think really it's been a family-owned operation for like so long, right? And then it's in addition to that, it's not toxic positivity. We're not saying that there isn't problems with Cleveland. We're not saying that there are things that should be addressed. I think it's this idea that like, do you take pride in your city? Do you think that it can be great? Do you want it? Do you see it or do you not? Because that's like the kind of thing where like there are so many people that like just choose to say that Cleveland's like is.
And do you think
their
you're
state.
helping when you're doing that? Like, I know we want the same thing. It seems like you want better for Cleveland, and I want better for Cleveland. But you're the route of just telling, especially on a public platform like social media, to go on there and comment negative things about your own town. Like, what do you think that's gonna do? Like, you're presenting that to the world. So yeah, just the idea of if the people that are going to make the changes that need to be made are going to be the people who are bought in and who have committed, and you know.
At what point has change ever come, or has it come out of something like a positive mindset, right? Like a good change,
Very true.
right? And so there's some people that like think negatively about Cleveland. Like you're just continuing the trajectory of
That
that
same
negative
conversation.
experience.
Yeah.
So it's like
You gotta just
it's like
remind.
how do you own Cleveland? Like, oh no, Cleveland's awesome. Like if you don't like it, like let's make room for people that do, because this place is sick and we have like 3 major sports teams and no traffic, and
There's also-
you can own a house
Right.
10 minutes away. It's affordable from this massive city with all this crazy nightlife, a lake, we're a city on the water.
You're gonna get mad. I'm on a pedestal about this one. I bring this up all the time now to people since I've read like an article on this.
Preach.
But the actual event that like sparked the idea, Mistake on the Lake, and the big river fire of
We were talking about
1969,
this.
Yeah.
it's not. It wasn't what they said it was. The photo that was used showed like a tower high flames, and like it made it seem like it was this big deal, and the people who were on the river were the only people that knew that it was going on. It didn't affect the rest of the city. It was this tiny fire, but there was legislation being passed that needed to like police corporations from dumping into rivers, which is a beautiful thing. But Cleveland became the scapegoat of this. And so it's like, even just telling people like most people that I know don't know this, like you're not even, like what you're talking about is like this mistake on the lake mentality. It's not even based on fact. Like Pittsburgh, Chicago, Boston, all of these manufacturing cities have river fires. This wasn't unique to
Right.
Cleveland.
Right.
Like we're not the only ones. Like it was very common. Everyone was being nasty with the rivers then. So just saying like, okay, I'm done with it. That's not the narrative anymore.
Well, so I think how we deal with trolls is like, in some ways, that's the reason we're doing it, is because there are those people that are out there that are saying those things.
Right.
And that's what we need to try to change.
We kill them with
Right.
kindness. We ask them
You
questions.
kill with kindness, and that's what Katie says. She asks some questions. Because the second they realize you're not going to fight them and just try to ask them to explain themselves,
Exactly.
they usually end up, because like,
They don't have the facts to back it up.
because for a while,
They're
like,
just
for a while,
talking
Katie would
about it,
argue.
they're not trying to fight.
Watch would argue with them on there. Just with
I still
threads
argue
of
a
like,
little bit. I still argue.
you still do. You know what I mean?
I
But like sometimes it's like eventually like,
I'm like,
After
like go on their page sometimes.
Oh,
and
yeah.
like, oh, it looks so fun where you are. Look who's talking. You've got one video posted, must be awesome there.
And they'll like reply to their comment, and then they'll delete the original one. And it's like, because you knew what you said was silly. It was silly.
Now you talked about Cleve or Leave. You have a hat that says Cleve or Leave. Let's dive into that. So this was kind of a product of what we were just talking about with TikTok. So describe Cleve or Leave, your guys' newest kind of like branch off from Cleveland Vibes.
So I got kind of as like a campaign, just like we just wanted like people to like change their mindsets, like. And then we're like, oh, I guess we should make a shirt for it. Like, that makes sense. We should
Step
like,
one.
mark it up. Yeah.
Always.
like,
Yes.
Always.
always a shirt.
Merch.
Yeah, and then it's just kind of caught on, and the word cleave like can mean like obviously to like hit with a like
Cleaver.
whatever,
Yeah.
but it can
And
also
also
mean to cleave to,
Cling
to
to.
hold tight to, like be loyal to.
That's really
you know.
cool.
Cute. Did
So
not know that.
it has this double like either stay, like either you're here or, and it's not saying if you don't like it you can get out. It's saying buy into it. Just be here for the progress. Be here to like see the growth, and at the very least, don't get in the way of the people who are.
And so for years I've taken content as well to help with Katie, and our thought is like if Katie has an amazing following that is I think probably like what
Almost maybe 75% women.
women, and so me and Julian and Mike, the other 3 people that are kind of really on like our kind of a core team, I guess you would say. We were just like, yeah, we don't have the content. Like, let's try to like post some like
Less cute.
stuff for dudes. That's
Yeah.
like more like I don't know. Like that's kind of our most recent thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
the grunge scene.
Yeah.
There's so much more that isn't. Like textbook. Aesthetic.
Sure.
So
Of course.
giving a space for that too.
mhm.
more authentic, you know, and to meet that need, because people do say, you know, where's the real stuff? And I want to. I don't think anyone goes to make an Instagram account for anything to highlight the negatives of that. Like if I'm a yogi, I'm not gonna like spend all my time being like, but also people hurt their back, you know, like that's not the point of like, you wanna like maybe could do some notes on it, but it's not the point of the account. But to give just a
think that,
unfiltered you know, perspective of it.
But the spirit of the saying is not saying like necessarily like actually physically get out. It's more like there are people that can like move away from Cleveland that can still cleave, right? Like because they're like they can leave the land, the land didn't leave them. They still want the best for Cleveland, right? And then there's people that live in Cleveland that left Cleveland a long time ago in their heads, and so it's like, how do you like make them realize that like when they step outside, do they like where they live? Because that's a perspective that you choose that daily, whether you like enjoy your day or not.
I mean, to some
Right,
extent, and it's. I think one of the things that we have to be aware of is that there are like neighborhoods that don't get the same attention that other neighborhoods do, and we don't want to like. And there's people that don't have the option to leave those neighborhoods. So I think that's the one thing that we have to kind of like.
And what we're doing is Katie has in huge fundraisers. We've raised. We did money for the West Side Market, which you saw. We did an event for the refugees that moved here to Cleveland. There was 900 of them Afghan refugees. We did an event for them.
We planned. Our hope is that like the commitment to seeing the best in the city is going to be one that brings up the entire city.
Attract a community of people that want to actually make those changes because they know that it can be
downtown. Because the areas that are underfunded will get the funding that they need when more people choose to live in Cleveland proper. And right now, people, our age group, millennials and Gen Z, need to choose Cleveland proper for the rest of the city to be brought up. So.
I love that mindset.
It's so cool.
Yeah.
It's you guys are really doing.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to like not only do this interview, but also see what we can do together in the future, because it is just such a cool and refreshing thing to see. Just like people like us who just want to support, get the vibe out there, get the words out there to just let people know like Cleveland rocks, baby.
Yeah, we want to help everybody. We want to make sure that people know who you are too, because it's like it's important that we have a music scene that's shared, and that like gets covered because it's like not something that I think musicians get a lot of it. I really respect what you guys are doing because that's so huge for musicians and for people, local artists, you know.
Thank you.
The home of rock and roll.
Guys, where can people find you? I like feel stupid even asking that question.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and TikTok under Cleveland Vibes.
That's where you can find us.
ClevelandVibes.com, Cleveland Vibes Instagram.
Thank you.
TikTok.
Locally grown.